All right. So now we're talking about income consumption curve, that how will budget line change whenever there is a change in income. All right. So this is now what we are talking about. Now, before moving towards that, let me just remind you the concept of income elasticity of demand that you learned in your AS level. Now, overall, the game is pretty similar, that there are three types of goods in income elasticity of demand. The first one is normal good, which is superior in quality, superior in nature, and has a positive relationship between income and demand. See, a curve upward sloping like this. So whenever income level rises, the demand for that good will rise as well, which proves that there is a positive relation going on. Then we have inferior good. Inferior good is a low quality good, which is cheaper in quality overall. And whenever income level rises, the demand for that good falls. And whenever income level falls, demand for that good rises, proving a negative relationship between income and inferior good. The last one is a necessity good, in which there is no change in quantity consumption whenever there's a rise or fall in income, for example, medicine, because you will not start consuming medicine or stop using medicine due to change in your income if you want to survive or if you're sick, right? So overall, your quantity consumption is unaffected by your change in income. All right. So if, I think you remember this concept. Do you? Do you remember this concept? It's very easy, right? Yeah, all right. So now let's move towards our topic. So previously in price consumption curve, we were talking about a change in purchasing power of one good only. Now let's see what happens here. For example, my income level is 1000 and I am allocating 1000 between good Y and good X. I gave $500 to good Y and 500 to good X. All right, good Y and good X. So let's say the price of good Y. The price of good Y is, let's say, $100. The price is $100 for good Y, and the price is $50 for good X. According to the current price level and current income allocated, I am able to consume 5 units of good Y and 10 units of good X. All right. So currently, this is what my budget line will look like. This is my good Y. This is my good X. All right. And this is the current state of my budget line, that is AB. Now, let's say my income level rises and now I'm earning $2,000 a month, right? The price level is still the same, but I'm earning $2,000 a month, which means that now I'm able to allocate $1,000 to good Y and $1,000 to good X. All right, good Y and good X. Now, the price is still the same. Price for good Y is $100 and price for good X is $50. Now, according to the current allocation of income, I can now buy 10 units of good Y and 20 units of good X, which means that due to increase in my income, I'm able to afford more of good Y as well as good X, right? My purchasing power is increasing for both of them, which means that due to increase in my income, my budget line will shift rightwards from AB to CD. It is shifting rightward, which is representing that I can now afford more of good Y and more of good X because my income level is rising for both of these goods. It is not rising for good X or good Y individually, or solely for good X or solely for good Y. It is rising for both of them, which means that my purchasing power is rising for both of these goods. So previously, my budget line, which was supposed to be PX over PY, is now px1 over py1. I have written 1 to represent the change in budget line for both of these goods that I am consuming, because it is increasing for both of them. And this is a fatwa. This is a fatwa that regardless of the nature of good, regardless of the color of good, regardless of the overall overall characteristics of the good. Whenever there is an increase in income, whenever there is an increase in income, your budget line will always shift to the right. Whenever there's an increase in income, budget line will always shift to the right. Everything clear? Everything clear? Now, we are drawing the case of increase in income. All right, we are representing the case of increase in income. And let's say we're talking about normal good. Income increase, and we're talking about normal good. So whenever there's an increase in income, the demand for normal good will rise. All right, demand for normal good will rise. Now let's draw the first fatwa first. The basic fatwa, which will always stay the same regardless we're talking about normal good, inferior good, or necessity good. This is my good y, and this is my good x. This is my income level, all right, and this is quantity of good x, all right. Now, initially, let's say this is my budget line AB, and I have to draw the indifference curve in the center, like I told you previously. This is my IC, and this is my current equilibrium position E, and this is the current equilibrium quantity consumption of good X. All right, X and X. Now, if there is an increase in income, my purchasing power will rise for both of these goods. So it will shift rightwards from AB to CD. It will shift rightwards from AB to CD. This is the basic fatwa. This is the basic fatwa. This is the basic fatwa of increase in income. It will stay the same throughout. Doesn't matter which kind of good I'm talking about. All right. So I'm copying this fatwa. I'm copying this fatwa, and then I'll continue with this one. All right. So this is the fatwa that we talked about. So it doesn't matter which kind of good you're talking about. Whenever there is an increase in income, your budget line will always shift to the right. All right. Now we have to prove the game of normal good, which means that if there is an increase in income and you are operating at point X over here, your new equilibrium should be away from this X, should be rightwards to show the increase in income. So what you will do is your new indifference curve will be somewhat here, IC1, equilibrium E1, and your equilibrium consumption is rising from X to X1, right? X1 and X1. And because normal good has a positive relationship with income, so if we are representing YD in the derivation below, according to the YD or normal good, you will draw an upward sloping income curve like this. Why? This was your previous equilibrium E, where this was your income level of Y, and now your new equilibrium is E1 and your new income level is Y1. So if your income level is rising, demand for normal good is rising as well. Everything clear? Now there is another way you can draw this diagram, and in this case, what you have to do is that you will change the derivation. You will change the derivation. You are not showing the derivation with income anymore. You are using demand. All right, you are using demand, law of demand. Now, what I will do is I'll just change this labeling from income to price of good X. Price of good X. All right, I'll change this. Now, the upper section of the diagram will still stay the same. Now you will draw this new equilibrium position over here, your new IC. right? Your new IC1. This is equilibrium E1. And overall, this is supposed to be your new equilibrium quantity, that is X1. Now, if I link it with demand curve, you should remember that income is one of the non-price factors. Income is one of the non-price factors which bring shift, in demand curve, right? So income is a non-price factor which brings shift in demand curve. So you have to do nothing. What you'll do is, this is supposed to be your initial demand curve. You just draw randomly. This is supposed to be your initial demand curve. And due to increase in income, there will be an increase in demand. So this will be your new demand curve. It will shift from D to D1. And if you remember the first class of AS Economics, that due to non-price factors, we hold the price level constant, right? So the price is constant E1. This is how you will show the link with demand, but it is recommended to follow this section, not the demand curve. It is recommended to always link it with income level. Everything clear? So one thing that you need to remember is that when you are showing a shift in indifference curve in normal good, in which you have to show an increase in your equilibrium quantity, you see, if I connect both of these equilibriums, the connection will lead to an upward sloping curve, right? The connection will lead to an upward sloping curve, which is an indication that we are talking about normal good. Now, what the mistakes you guys do is that you will draw the equilibrium away from X. But let's say you do here IC1, equilibrium E1. You will reach to an increase in quantity of good X. But if we connect both of them, it is a downward sloping curve like this. So you have to make sure that your equilibriums should indicate which kind of good you're talking about. So in normal good, there is a positive relationship between income and demand, right? So there should be an upward sloping curve like this. Do you understand? Okay, so I'm giving you a minute to read the explanation. Read the explanation. Done? Okay. Okay, now let's move forward and learn about different diagrams. We're still talking about increase in income, that your income level is rising. And now we're talking about inferior good, which says that if your income is rising, your demand will fall. All right. And necessity good, doesn't matter if your income rises or falls. In necessity good, it stays the same. All right. No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if the nature is same. It doesn't matter. All right, let's draw the fatwa diagram. This is the fatwa. All right, like I told you, the shift will always be to the right if your income level is rising, because budget line represents your purchasing power, not the nature of that good. All right, so this is the fatwa diagram. Now if we talk about inferior good, in inferior there should be a negative relationship, right? If my income level is rising, my demand should fall. So this is my current position of good X. So my new equilibrium should be behind this quantity of good X to show a decrease in consumption because my income level is rising. So my new indifference curve will be somewhere like this. IC1, equilibrium E1, and this is my equilibrium quantity X1, X1 and X1. Now there is a negative relationship between income and inferior good. So my YD curve will be like this. That previously, if my income level was Y and I was consuming quantity of good X at point X, due to an increase in income, my quantity consumption of good X will fall as my income level is rising. Everything clear? And now if we talk about necessity goods, there will be no change in quantity of good X. It will still be the same. So the shift will be somewhere over here. My new equilibrium will be somewhere over here. IC1, equilibrium E1. So it doesn't matter if my income level is changing. My quantity of good X will still stay the same like this, right? So even if my income level rises from Y to Y1, there will be no change in my quantity. Everything clear? Now let's draw the fatwa of income decrease and then we will end our class. Now it is also very basic. If my if increase in my income level is shifting my budget line rightwards from AB to CD, rightwards like this, decrease in income will shift it leftwards. Nothing else. This is my good Y and this is my good X. Income quantity of good X. Now this is my initial budget line AB. This is my initial budget line AB. This is my initial indifference curve IC in the center. All right. And this is my initial equilibrium point E. X and X. Now due to decrease in my income, my budget line will shift leftwards like this from AB to CD. All right. AB to CD. Regardless of the nature of good. Now this is my fatwa of income decrease. Right. Now if we're talking about normal good, normal good says that if your income level is falling, your demand should fall as well. So when we talk about normal good, my new equilibrium should be somewhere here because it will decrease my quantity consumption. Inferior good says that if my income level is falling, my demand should rise. So it should be away from this X point, and inferior goods equilibrium will be somewhat here. Necessity says it doesn't matter if your income is rising or falling, your overall consumption should stay the same. So this is the equilibrium of my necessity good. So A is normal good, B is inferior good, and C is necessity good. Everything clear? Everything clear? Right, perfect. So I'm sending you this file on the WhatsApp group, all right? So your assignment is to complete PCC and ICC and send it on the Google Classroom. The due date is next Friday. All right? All right, take care. You will.